Welcome back to Quick Snaps, brought to you by Unanimous Decision Podcast. I am your host, Dpalm. Follow me on Twitter at Dpalm66. Follow the show on Twitter at UDPod. Follow the entire MTR Network on Twitter at the MTR Network. And let's get right into it. We have a problem, listeners. So the last few weeks I've been on here gloating about winning the Pick'em League, and I will continue to gloat when I win. But we've reached an impasse. And I'm okay with losing. I kind of want to lose because I want to give away some content. I want to give away some merch. I want to give away some opportunities. But you see, the person in first place now cannot be allowed to stand. For those of you who haven't been keeping track, my father has taken first place in our league. And while you all may enjoy hearing on the podcast, I have not enjoyed a lifetime of losing to him. So if we could all band together, tighten up, figure it out, and beat this man, please. That way we can all win. We can all have someone on the show. We can have a winner come on and be a co-host for an episode. We can have a winner get some great free swag. But if the winner is my father, I'll just cancel the whole thing and pretend it never happened. And if you think I'm too mature to do that, you don't know me very well. Week 4 is in the books. What did we learn from week 4? We learned from week 4 that we don't know anything about this NFL, as evidenced by the fact that my father's winning this stupid Picks League. And we're going to start, as we always do, with my Atlanta Falcons. They fell 23-17 to the Bills, and because the margin was within the, let's just say, returned, quote-unquote, fumble for a touchdown that should have been ruled an incomplete pass, I'm finding a hard time accepting this loss. Were Atlanta going to go 16-0? Of course not. Can you win a game when you lose Mohamed Sanu and Julio Jones in the same game? Probably not. But guess what? It was close. They kept it tight. They lost because of a bad call. Not impressed with how the offenses look so far. I'm going to be honest. It's been kind of muddling. I hope that our beloved offensive coordinator can figure out how to get out of this muck. This is not the offense that Shanahan left. It's different. It's running differently. It's not seeing the same results, and I would really, really, really appreciate them to pick it up. Thursday Night Football happened again. Hope you didn't watch. Packers, home favorites, blew out the Bears 14-35, and they beat the Bears so badly they're going to go to a rookie who they never should have traded up so much to draft to start their next game, which is, of course, on Monday night, a national stage. And so I know some people say that in the NFL, it's not that you lose or how you lose, it's when you lose. And losing on national television sets the tone. And losing your first start on national television and not looking all that great can really set the tone for what could be a very long, fruitful career for Mr. Trubisky, apparently, when you look at some of the other people who got wins on Sunday. Let's go to the Sunday action. The Saints beat the Dolphins 20-0. The Saints are out here shutting people out. Really? That's really what's happening? For those of you keeping track at home, last week, the Dolphins got blown out by the Jets. Look, I don't expect the Dolphins to be anything great, but if you're going to spend that kind of money on Jay Cutler and he gives you what you're getting right now, I have to ask for a refund, or at least let me see the receipt. Let me see exactly what I paid for. Steelers put it on the Ravens. Big story out of this one was Antonio Brown throwing a tantrum, quote unquote, on the sideline. I love how when Antonio Brown does it, it's a tantrum, but when Tom Brady does it, it's the fire of a competitor. People say that the issue is that they were winning at the time. Hey, the reason he was mad is because they ran a gadget play. They ran a throwback where the play is designed to be thrown and he's wide open and he doesn't throw it. That's a play you run once. They're not going to be able to run that again. That was designed for Antonio to get in the end zone, designed to put something on this Ravens defense. And they just blew an opportunity, and that's why he's upset. Not because he didn't get the ball. He's upset because they wasted the time they could have used on offense. Bengals beat up on the Browns 31-7. Maybe I was wrong about the Browns. The Rams beat the Cowboys 35-30. This Todd Gurley thing seems like it might be a real one, huh? I for one, am happy to see Todd doing well. I'm happy to see the knee looks like it's recovered nicely. This new coaching staff found ways to get him the ball in space. Jared Goff might be a pretty good quarterback. And the Cowboys, look, does Dez have 100 yards yet? On the season? Receiving? Seriously, that's a serious question because I think that it's something that has to get asked. He finished on Sunday with, and I want to make sure, I don't want to shortchange him here, so let's make sure we pull this up properly. Yeah, Dez, okay, he got 5 for 98, so he finally crossed 100 for the season, but it shouldn't be week 4 before that happens. That's not how it should get down. That's not what I was told Dez Bryant was. I was told he was a game changer, a playmaker, and maybe it's a Dak Prescott thing. They don't have the chemistry, but it feels like he isn't a priority on offense anymore. Priority of the offense, Deshaun Watson will be driven to practice from now on in a limousine driven by Bill O'Brien in a chauffeur's hat because he just saved Bill O'Brien's job. 57-14, they beat the Titans up. Marcus Mariota's hurt again. The Titans will have to look for a quarterback, and Colin Kaepernick's name was never mentioned. I, for one, would like to apologize to Deshaun Watson for doubting him and benching him in my fantasy league and possibly costing myself the last 2 weeks of games. I didn't know he'd be this good this fast. I don't think the Texans knew he'd be this good this fast, but everyone else apparently, in hindsight, always knew that Bill O'Brien was an idiot. The Lions beat the Vikings 14-7. I say Lions football the last 10 years to you. You think offense, you think points, you think Calvin Johnson, you think big arms from Matthew Stafford, you think records getting broken. They're winning with defense. That's it, just flat out. They're winning with defense. They're winning with the running game. And that's what makes me nervous because this Lions team's found a different way to be an effective football team and to be an effective force in the NFL. The Panthers beat the Patriots 33-30. Yeah, Tom Brady can look all good all he wants. He's taken a bunch of sacks so far, but more than anything, that defense is just porous. Cam Newton looks like he found his stride at least for one game, throwing up the black power fist in the hole 9 yards. We'll see how long, any of that lasts. Josh McCown for the Jets. Here's a stat that I found horrifying. Josh McCown has now won back-to-back games for the first time since 2004. That's 13 years of futility where Josh McCown is not starting together back-to-back wins, and he's still in the league. For those of you keeping track at home, that time 13 years ago, that's right, that's the only time in his career that he's strung together back-to-back wins before this week. The Jets are supposed to be tanking, the Jets are supposed to be bad, but no one gave the memo to the Jets. They win 23-20 in overtime. The Cardinals continue to play close against the Niners, and people continue to tell me the Cardinals are an actually good football team, and I refuse to see it. 15-18, final OT. That's not a fun score. 15-18. Goodness gracious. 26-24. The Eagles went to LA, and beat the Chargers. The Chargers played basically a road game because all you could hear were Eagles fans. I've seen the clip where Eagles offense is telling the fans in LA to be quiet so they can get a playoff. You should not have that problem in the smallest stadium as the new shiny toy in town. However, the rumors that that the Chargers have not ruled out a return to San Diego is a slap in the face of the league, to common sense, to LA, and particularly to the people of San Diego. Even though I know they'll take them back, I think that they shouldn't. The Buccaneers beat the Giants 25-23. Giants going to win this year? I mean, are they? I mean, we're getting to the point where I have to ask the question. They haven't looked great in their games. Odell Beckham, he looks good at stretches here, but he's still hurt. He's playing injured, and it's not turning out the way people thought it would. I think Eli's dunzo. But hey, maybe I'm crazy. The Broncos beat the Raiders 16-10. This AFC West is a problem, y'all, because these are some really good football teams. I know Derek Carr went down with an injured back. They say that he's out 2 to 6 weeks with a broken bone in his back. If I break a bone in my back, I'm out. I'm done. I'm finished. No thanks. It's a wrap for me. I'll meet you in the booth with Tony Romo. It's not going to happen, but it's good to see that Broncos defense still in shape. The Seahawks beat the Colts. I didn't sit to watch this nonsense game. I hope you didn't either. Yeah, it's a problem because you can't tell me that this Colts team has design on doing anything besides being a punching bag for people if you're going to, 1, keep pretending Andrew Luck's coming back. He's not. And 2, keep trotting out this team without any change, without front office, without coaching, without player changes. Go make a trade. Go sign somebody. Do something. Flail against the oncoming rush. And because this is a Seahawks team that isn't great, the Seahawks team that is working off a patchwork offensive line and still somehow managing to throw up let's just look at the stat real quick. They threw up 200 yards rushing. 5 different rushers combined for 194 yards and a 5.9 average yards per carry. This isn't the beat-em-up Seahawks of old. This isn't Marshawn's line. This is a patchwork line that should not be doing this. Monday Night Football, the Washington professional football team lost to the Kansas City professional football team when both teams are racially offensive mascots. Like, what do you do? Kansas City won 29-20. They held on for a late field goal. And I want to say something here. Harrison Buckner is the kicker for the Chiefs. He's a rookie. He's at Georgia Tech. He's Georgia Tech's all-time leading goal scorer. 5 years ago, I was at the Columbia-Harvard game, and I saw a kid in a letter jacket from my high school. So I went up to him and said, hey, I used to play here. I played at Westminster. What brings you to Columbia? I talked to him and his dad, and they explained what they're looking for. And I'm going to be honest, I said, hey, make sure you go to a place where you're most comfortable, because college isn't going to be just about football, particularly if you come to a place like Columbia where it's not really a lot of fans around the team. Like, if you're going to go somewhere and decide, you want to do football, then maybe this isn't the school for you. But if it's where you're most comfortable and where you're happiest, I'd say make the choice. He, of course, took my advice, did not go to Columbia, went to Tech, set a bunch of records, and now is kicking game winners on Monday Night Football. I'm not saying the kid owes me anything, but if he tossed me 10%, or at least want to have a conversation about what percentage I found was fair, I'd be open to that phone call. I would not turn him down. And shout out to the Kansas City team for picking up that fumble at the end of the game and running the ball in and covering and hitting the over all in one fell swoop. Lots of very happy gamblers in Vegas. Not one on your podcast because I'm still losing to my father. Please, please, please get involved on Picks and Pick'em. Make sure you're making educated picks, even though we know very little about this football season so far. And we will see you on Monday with a brand new UD pod. That was your show. This is your outro. See you next week. Welcome back to Quick Snaps, brought to you by Unanimous Decision Podcast. I am your host, Dpalm. Follow me on Twitter at Dpalm66. Follow the show on Twitter at UDPod. Follow the entire MTR Network on Twitter at the MTR Network. And let's get right into it. We have a problem, listeners. So the last few weeks I've been on here gloating about winning the Pick'em League, and I will continue to gloat when I win. But we've reached an impasse. And I'm okay with losing. I kind of want to lose because I want to give away some content. I want to give away some merch. I want to give away some opportunities. But you see, the person in first place now cannot be allowed to stand. For those of you who haven't been keeping track, my father has taken first place in our league. And while you all may enjoy hearing on the podcast, I have not enjoyed a lifetime of losing to him. So if we could all band together, tighten up, figure it out, and beat this man, please. That way we can all win. We can all have someone on the show.